We have brought a guest speaker here, Andrew Olson, who is one of the accomplished students out there. Andrew, I'd like to call you still a student because it looks like you're still pursuing some things in life. So he's going to be specifically talking about strategies to achieve the academic goal and also in parallel save some costs on it. That's why the name of the podcast itself is 2 years and an average of 70,000 savings. With that said, Andrew, on to you. Would like to request you to give a little bit of detailed insight about your experience and what you bring to the table, please.
Yeah. So hey everyone, thanks for showing up. Thanks for watching, and thanks to GradAchiever for putting this on. And it's really cool what they're doing as far as like providing a platform for all this stuff. So my name's Andrew Olson. I'm the founder of Fastrack, which is my educational consulting company. I'm here to talk about how you can save time and money in college, just like I did. So I have a bachelor's degree in computer science that I received when I was 19, and I've used the knowledge I gained to build a successful tech business and then a project management company. So as I met more people throughout that company, more and more of my business partners and mentors were really interested in how I was able to graduate so fast and save so much money. So after some encouragement, I started this business to just like show other people how they can do what I did. And yeah, that's the general breakdown of it.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. So we'll quickly delve into some of the questions we have personally sort of gone through and come up with to help our audience. So given the journey you have, I was just wondering, what is this whole concept behind save 2 years and an average of 70,000 on your college degree?
Yeah, so kind of like I explained above, like just like what I just said, our system allows you to graduate college in 2 years instead of 4 years by taking dual credit classes. And the average cost of college is around $35,000 per year. So if you're taking 4 years of college and you take that down to 2 years, that'd be saving your child around $70,000. Obviously, the numbers are just based on averages, and you can save more money if you go to a more expensive college or if you save more time as well.
Yep, makes perfect sense. And as far as the audience goes, who would be the audience? Is it the middle schoolers and their parents? Is it too late for high schoolers, or can high schoolers also benefit from this session that we are having today?
That's a great question. Yeah. So we work with primarily 8th graders through 12th graders. So pretty much as long as you're in high school or in 8th grade, we're good to work with you. The earlier that you get started with our system, though, the more benefit you're going to have. And that's just because you'll have longer and more time in high school to keep taking these dual credit classes. And the longer that you know about them and the longer you have to plan, the more that you can schedule for.
And so would you say max by the freshman year? Is this the right time to plan this? Anything after, is it too late, or do they still have hope in terms of?
No, so all the way up until senior year, so 12th grade of high school is okay. Ideally, like the ideal would be 7th through about 10th, 11th grade. But yeah, we can definitely still help out anyone who's already a senior in high school. There's still some things you can do. And if you're in your first semester right now, you still have a whole semester left. So you can still get a pretty good amount of dual credit classes in and a good amount of college done for cheaper.
That's pretty cool. And what's the inspiration, Andrew, behind this in terms of reducing the time cost and also sort of educating others? Can you shed some light on what's really inspiring you to do this?
Yeah, so for a lot of people, really the only way that they can attend college is they find an alternative way that makes their degree more valuable. It's no secret that the cost of a college degree has risen exponentially. And I really just want to teach other people that it's still possible for them to get value out of their degree like it used to be. And just like on a personal level, like if I wasn't able to graduate in 2 years and make my degree half as expensive, I probably wouldn't have gone to college at all because I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and do my own thing afterward. But this provided like a good backup plan in case that doesn't work out, and I still have the degree.
Yep, makes perfect sense. And can you give a little bit of a deep dive on how did you graduate at 19?
Yeah. So Yeah, I basically followed our system, which at the time wasn't a system. It was just me learning throughout the way and figuring out what would work and what doesn't. But it was mostly by taking advantage of dual credit classes when I was in high school. And then I took a few classes in the summer during college, and then an extra class, like one or two of the semesters while I was in college as well.
So did you start taking dual degree credits during high school, or?
I took one when I was a sophomore, and then I took a lot when I was a junior, and a few more when I was a senior. I had about 45 credits done when I graduated, so about a year and a half or so.
That's pretty cool. So that gives a good segue into the dual credit courses itself, right? So
Mhm.
I think mostly during the high school, most of the high schools just offer max one or two dual degree credit courses. So can you give us a little bit of in-depth insight into what these are and how to go about finding those, please?
Yeah, it's a good question. So essentially, dual credit classes are like outside classes, and they count as both a high school class and they also count for college credits. So, like instead, if you taking calculus at your high school for no credit and just fulfilling like the high school requirement for a math class, you can take it online, or you can take it at like a local community college in person, and that would fulfill both the high school course requirement of having to take a math for 1 year, and then you would also earn the 3 to 4 college credits that would come with as well. That then could be applied towards your general education, or depending on your major, could be applied to your major as well.
So generally, are they honored by just the state, that particular state university, or do they get honored throughout the country? How does it work?
Yeah, so we can talk a little bit about the transfer process later, but most dual credit classes, as long as they come from an accredited university, will transfer almost anywhere. There are some private colleges that don't accept some dual credit classes. However, like what state you take them in usually doesn't matter. I grew up in South Dakota, and that's where I did all of my dual credit classes, just at like local community colleges and state universities. I ended up going to school in a different state, and everything transferred over without an issue. So, bottom line is like sometimes they don't transfer, and you need to be really careful with that. But most of the time, you should have no problem transferring them in as long as you know what schools you're aiming for.
That's good to know. And how about the cost, Andrew? Do they cost same as the college courses or cheaper?
Yeah, so they're much less expensive. The average around $80 per credit hour, and are sometimes even less than that. Whereas some stats I have are they're $900 per credit hour is the average for public schools, and 1,400 per credit is the average for private schools. So with some quick math, that's about 10 times cheaper than at public colleges and about 15 times cheaper than at private universities. Also, my younger sister is taking a few of them right now, and she says that the majority of them are $40 per credit, and a few of them are 60. So yeah, you can. That's a big way to save a bunch of money versus traditional.
Wow, that's huge, right? The dollar pricing between the community college offering versus college. So it makes sense. I think it's
Yeah,
like shooting for two at once, right? You fulfill your high school requirements along with college during the high school. That's pretty.
exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
And how about the difficulty level? Because it's like, you have to maintain your grades to get into good college. There is that sort of a pressure as well in high school. And given these are sort of a college level courses, so
Yeah,
how
that's a really good question. That's something that comes up with a lot of our clients, because a lot of people, I mean, it's just they don't want to be doing like too much work that's like way harder, you know. But they're not bad at all. They can be more challenging than some normal classes, but at least from my experience, some of them I took were a lot simpler because they teach the ideas and applications instead of just like teaching memorization for like an AP test or a regular high school class. And I also found that there's a lot less like busy work, homework. So you'll have a lot more time to study how you want to study, and you also have plenty of time to still focus on your sports or family or friends or any other hobbies you have.
Yeah, makes sense. And talking about AP versus dual credit, AP also gives an option to not take those courses if someone scores above the required levels, right? So
Correct.
how do you differentiate those, and which one is better, dual credit courses versus APs? What's your take, Andrew, on those?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I didn't take many. I took a few APs, but I didn't take many. I found that the dual credit classes were a lot easier, like they were a lot less challenging. However, I'm not totally against AP classes. I think that they still have a great spot. I think they still fit in very well, especially if you can pass the AP exams before you even take the class. Then, I mean, obviously, you're getting those credits so much quicker. But some people don't want to have to study for an AP test and maybe not don't have the knowledge and just they're not interested in that. So that's where dual credits come in very nicely. You would have already had to take a lot of these classes anyways, and they would have just counted for high school credit. Whereas you take them as a dual credit, you get both for them. Obviously, then you save all that money on college as well.
Yeah. And how do you go about taking this, signing up for these dual credit courses? Like I said, I have a high schooler too. All we know is there is one or two courses offered in that particular high school, the dual credit courses. So how do you expand beyond that?
Yeah, so this is the tricky part, which is where like hiring an expert, like a company like us, can really help. So dual credit classes are taught by the colleges, so you have to look outside of your high school. And a lot of the times, your high school counselors that are assigned to your student, depending on the school, like they may have hundreds of students they're working with, and they can't like provide a personalized approach to everyone, and they can't like help beyond what's traditionally accepted as like a fair amount of time for each student. Um, so they can be tough to navigate, especially once you start enrolling in remote courses, which isn't bad for you if you're only taking like a few dual credit classes, but it can definitely take a lot of time, knowledge, and planning. And if you really want to take advantage to the point where you're shaving off years of college tuition costs, that's like where we like to help out and like apply our expertise and actually do the research on like what you're eligible for and how to actually get enrolled in them.
Good to know that. So since you're talking about your service, you want to go a little bit deeper into what you guys do and
Yeah. So the first thing we do is we get on a sales call with you and we just make sure you're a good fit for our program. We don't really accept everyone that applies because not everyone's going to be a good fit. And we want to ensure that we do the best job we possibly can for each student. We're not really interested in making a ton of money and taking on too much students to like maintain our system. We're more focused on making sure each student's experience within our ecosystem is extremely beneficial and helpful for them. So if we decide that the system is a good fit for you and that the pricing makes sense for your goals, we will start your onboarding call where we'll talk about what you want to do, talk about the kids' goals, the interests, their career aspirations, anything that might influence the courses that they would want to take. Our service is completely tailored and personalized around you and your goals. So that's why the first thing you want to figure out is if there's any obligations or restrictions we need to work around. Anything from blocking out time for sports, for family dinners, to going on vacation with your family, so you need to take a month off. We want to just make sure that we really understand your situation. If you want to aim for a specific college, we also want to plan for that. So, and these things can really influence our decisions and your decisions on your classes. So once we fully understand your situation and your goals, we build you a full high school course schedule based on our conversation and your high school course requirements and our prior knowledge and research that goes into what works best for students. Once you have the schedule from us, you check it, make sure everything looks good, make sure you're happy with it. And then we help you implement the schedule. We help you actually get enrolled in the classes. We talk to your high school course counselors if that's necessary, or sometimes we can just do the course enrollment for you, depending on what system your high school follows. After that, after you're signed up for all the classes, we do unlimited one-on-one coaching and guidance along the way, and we just make sure that you're set up for academic and career success.
that's good to know. And how intense the schedule can get. Let's say somebody in eighth grade, decided to pursue this whole program, and I'm not sure if you advise one dual credit course per year or if it depends totally on kids. I don't path, but
Yeah.
overall, when it comes to intensity, balancing between the high school and the dual credits, how would it go
Mhm.
about?
Yeah. So like it's intense for me and my team because there's a lot of research behind the scenes that goes into like making this optimal schedule. and it's intense in how much it accomplishes, but it's not like intense for you to follow at all. Our goal is to make the academic planning process as simple and as stress-free as possible for you as we can. So we make it so that all you need to do is sign up for the courses that we have on your schedule, and you need to take them and pass them. We're working around a high school course curriculum, so it's totally feasible just to take the normal number of classes depending on what you're looking for, which is what I did. I never, like in high school, I didn't take extra classes or anything. I just took the dual credits in place of the regular high school classes. So ultimately, it really depends on like what you're looking for and what's right for your child. Some parents and children are going to want like super advanced, like tough schedules. Other students just want a normal schedule, and that works for our system as well. Like I said, I didn't have a tough high school schedule. I used to go and golf every morning, and I still play sports with my friends and hang out with my family and everything. And I was still able to graduate in 2 years. So bottom line is, it's not too intense. And what I found was it was actually easier than like a normal high school schedule. It's way less time intensive.
Yeah, pretty cool. I guess that's how efficiently you plan your high school. That's a key, I believe. So the
Exactly.
side
Yeah.
effect of it is you're going to save time and a huge cost, right? I think it's a good idea. Let's break it down in terms of traditional 4 years college versus the alternate method you're suggesting, Andrew. If we, sort of give us a breakup, right? How you can take these and save, give us a little bit of breakdown, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like the very simple version would just be like, so the traditional college approach is you're in high school and you graduate high school and then you pick your college and you go for 4 years. The average cost of college, based on averages over the last few years, from the government statistics, is about $35,000 to $40,000 per year. So we can just we'll say 35, which would be $140,000 over 4 years. With Fastrack, which is our company, instead of doing that, you get started while you're in high school. Yeah, you save time while you're in high school. You have a little bit more freedom in high school. You also advance a little bit quicker. That's what I noticed, is like I got a lot mature a lot faster. I got business ideas much quicker by doing these things. And so with Fastrack, you graduate in 2 years, and it's going to cost you $70,000 or less. And that number just comes from cutting that 140 right in half, because it's half the time.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. So, and the next curiosity I'm sure everyone would have is more about any specific academic fields or majors that
Yeah.
you have to consider or better with dual credits, or are there any that you would say stay away from dual credits? Let's say if somebody's doing neuroscience, would you ask them to stay away from this versus any STEM?
Mm-hmm.
We can go into those details. I'm sure it will benefit a lot of folks here on the panel.
Yeah, so our system works for all academic fields and majors. For example, like I went to school for computer science, and it worked out perfectly for me. I took a lot of classes when I was in high school. Like I said, for about 45 credits done. And the way that it works is you transfer them in as general education requirements, which there's always about 30 of those that the school is going to want. So that's like your first year of school. Instead of like when you go to college, you'll take like your general education, which can be like English classes and stuff like that. These you would take those in high school instead, and then the extra ones on top of those that you would take would be counted as like elective credits towards your degree. And like my degree specifically was 120 credits, as most college bachelor's degrees are. And the breakdown was like 30 general education credits, 30 elective credits, and 60 like major course requirement credits. So when you transfer them in, 30 of whatever you have get counted towards general education, as long as they fulfill those requirements. And then the rest would get counted towards your degree if applicable. Like if you took like let's say you took like Python 1 in high school, and then you also need to take Python 1 in college. The Python 1 would get counted towards your degree, like major program, and then everything else you took that was like, maybe you took like a speech class or something like that, would get just counted as like an elective credit.
Yeah, that makes a simple math clear in terms of how things work out. Really appreciate that. Now, the
Yeah.
next question would be around the accreditation, right? There are different
Mhm.
accreditations for different colleges, universities, and how does this non-traditional method affect, and is there any effectiveness around it? So something
Yeah,
that
so I
everyone
think
would
we
get a
touched,
question, right?
yeah, so we touched a little bit on this earlier. So each college is going to have a different policy on transfer credits. What I found is a lot of the state colleges tend to have a lot of the same policies like state to state, but the private colleges are where things get a little confusing. Each college wants to have its own accreditation process. They want to have their own rules. So again, this is where like having someone do your academic plan for you and like spend a bunch of time doing the research is super helpful. We do the research and planning for you, and we make sure that you're not taking a bunch of classes that don't end up counting, because that is possible. Like you could, if you try to do on your own, you could take a bunch of dual credit classes and then find out that the college you're going to doesn't accept that version of that class, and now you just took that class for no reason. So yeah, this is again, we're making sure that you understand what you're doing. You do the research is extremely important.
Yep. Makes perfect sense. Thanks, Andrew. So we spoke about the difference between the regular college degrees, dual credits, how to maximize your high school so that you can save on a 4-year college, not just the time, but also huge dollars, given how expensive the college itself is. So all those are covered now. Next question I'm wondering is, are there any financial aids and scholarship opportunities for students that pursue this fast track process, Andrew?
Yeah, so each student's scholarship opportunities are going to be different, obviously, just because they're all in different situations and different places and all that stuff. But in general, yes, there are scholarship opportunities associated with non-traditional paths. The main thing that like sticks out is just because it shows like the child is super motivated and ahead of their peers. So some scholarship opportunities are going to be, some scholarship committees are going to be much more receptive of like giving them the scholarship over someone else, like if they see that like, oh, this kid's already like on a great path, like they already completed a bunch of high school, or sorry, a bunch of college well in high school.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we have a question there. Ishika will park those till the end, please. And talking about scholarship, you said it's again, everybody has to sort of pursue different scholarships out there, I believe. And does your fast track also help give some tips and helping in on that aspect, Andrew?
Yes, we do. Yep.
That's good to know. And as far as the employers are concerned, right, when it comes to hiring the undergrad students, let's say, how do they view at these credentials and qualifications versus the traditional college degree itself? Have you noticed any difference? Anything that you can share on those lines?
Yeah, that's a good question. So as far as the degree you receive the exact same degree, whether you transfer 2 years worth of credits or if you transfer 0 credits. The only thing that matters is where you finish your degree at. And there'll be no indication of transfer credits. It's the same way as if you go to an online college versus if you go in person. The degree you get still says the same thing at the end of when you graduate, it still says your degree in whatever your major was, and that's all it says. It doesn't say obtained online, doesn't say obtained in person, doesn't say obtained half here, half there. It's all just where you finish at. And then as far as employers and jobs, in like my personal experience, I found that employers were extremely impressed with the fact that I was able to complete my degree in 2 years, which opened up a lot of opportunities for me early on. Obviously, like I didn't take the traditional approach of like go to school and then get like a corporate job. I decided to do my own thing and found a couple companies and be an entrepreneur. Um, and it still transferred over of like everyone was still like, oh, how are you like so young, like doing all this stuff, and was always super impressed. And I think that opened a lot of doors for me that would have otherwise not been opened.
Yeah, that's interesting to know. And also, I think if one ends up finishing the first 2 years of college degree credits in their high school, I guess they can start applying for the internships, right in their first, when they get into the college, they would be already they would have technically finished a sophomore year of the undergrad. So they're always
Mhm.
ahead, I believe. And
Yeah, like my plan originally was I was going to go on to either be a doctor or lawyer. So I would have like been a doctor by 22 and a lawyer by 21, 22-ish. And like you almost never see that. So basically, yeah, I mean, just like the 2 years is really to just like use those 2 years once you're done to like figure out what you want to do. And if you know exactly what you want to do, boom, you're right in the perfect spot to get a great job and to have a lot of opportunities laid out in front of you because you worked so hard and got ahead.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. And this whole education itself, it's a fast changing landscape, right? Even especially after the COVID hit, things have really changed. A lot of online options, all these parallel path options, a lot is there. So let's say if there are students out there who are really unsure about pursuing a traditional college degree, what kind of advice do you have for them?
Yeah, so I was in the same boat. And I probably wouldn't have went to college if I didn't find out this was an option. This allowed me to get my degree for less money and it was faster as well. And so if you decide that like college isn't for you and you would have usually been halfway through on like year 2 of 4, well, you have to make a hard decision of like, do you just quit and then you lose all that money and you don't get the degree still? With this, you're so close that even if you decide it's not for you, which is what I kind of did at about the year and a half mark, I was like, God, this isn't really for me. I want to be an entrepreneur, do my own thing anyways. I was already so close that I was like, I should just finish, get my degree, and that can be my backup plan. And I could do that without having to go into excessive debt like most people would have to do.
And we have been talking about so many advantages just through the journey, right? Looking back, do you have anything that you see as a drawback or could have, should have? Just asking for a candid feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. So as far as like concerns that someone would have, um, the top things we get are like parents worried that their child won't be like normal or and they won't fit in or like they won't have time to do stuff. Those are like the main things with like an advanced degree program like ours. The top two things I could say are just like your child will still be able to have a normal life. They'll be able to do everything could do if they were just taking regular high school classes. This isn't going to take up a ton of their time. It's not going to alienate them from their friends and other classmates or anything. They'll still have classes with those people. They'll still have plenty of time to hang out after school. They'll have plenty of time to pursue their hobbies, and in most cases, actually more time to do all those things. And then the last thing would be like a lot of parents are concerned about like the college, like their student having the college experience, and they could still have that. Like they can still go and live on campus at the college for the 2 years that they're taking, and more than often that's enough for a student. Like they're usually ready to be done after about 2 years. Most students in college are like, okay, this was cool for the first few years, and now I'm ready to be done. I want to get on with my life. So this kind of just like speeds that up and makes you not get caught in that whole pipeline.
Yep. You sort of addressed my next question. I was going to ask you that. What are some of the parents' concerns that you would address? I think you already jumped into that, which is good, right? Because most often parents worry about their kids having to lose that precious time during high school, right? Having fun and taking it easy and exploring what they really want to do in their
Yeah.
if it's done the right way, I don't think there is any compromise on those angles. They
Yeah,
can
no, absolutely not.
Students can make the best of both worlds and in fact save on time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes perfect sense. And what are some of the pain points would you say for people who are pursuing this for the first time? Are there any sort of surprises they should be aware of or anything?
Yeah. So it's pretty straightforward, but the biggest thing is you're going to want to make sure that the credits you're taking actually apply to the school you go to. Like I said before, some private colleges are very restrictive and they don't accept credits from some sources. Generally, they cite the quality of the courses. If you know you're applying to schools like this, though, you can plan for it super easily. And similarly, different schools have different general education requirements and major requirements, and they do just change them every once in a while. So, for instance, some schools just want like an English class, and other schools will divide them into subcategories of English. This is where purchasing our service again can be really helpful because we do all the research for you to make sure you don't get in a bad situation like this where you took these classes and then you're stuck. We make sure that we handle that beforehand. The other issue that comes up is just not handling prerequisites correctly. So if you take a bunch of credits and you get all the general education credits, but you don't choose those that line up with your major, you can get caught up in like a 101 and 102 and then a 201 and 202 and so on. and that'll like drag out the process you worked hard for. In the same vein, taking a more advanced course in high school for your major can really help to make sure you like what you're actually doing, and can give you the opportunity to double down on that career major, and like you really decide that's what you want to do with your life. Or you can change without it costing you money, like it would if you were in school and you change halfway.
Yep. That makes sense. This has been quite insightful, Andrew. Thank you so much. And would like to give some time for audience also to ask question. We had a question in the chat here regarding one of the schools where they don't offer dual credits. It's mostly APs. I think you briefly touched about it. Going a little bit deeper into that would be helpful.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna pull up the chat here so you can see what you actually said. Okay. The school doesn't allow dual credit enrollment for courses that are offered as an AP. What would you suggest? Okay, so it sounds like the high school is restricting what courses you're allowed to take based on the classes that they have. So there's a few ways around this, and if you'd like, you can book a call just on my calendar after this, and we can talk through it as well for free. I can just help you out with this, but a lot of the times is the reason that the high schools do this is because they're already like paying to have a teacher for the AP class, and they want to just they want to have as many students in that class as possible, so like they feel like they get their money's worth. The way to just get around it is you can just talk to your high school counselor and just be like, hey, I have this class, I have this like say like this speech class I want to take at this community college. Um, is that fine to take? And you can either go through them, or you can also just take the class online. Like there's also opportunities to just take like college credit classes online for extremely cheap, and then you can just do that like on top of your high school schedule, and you could just like have an open block in high school. Like at least in my school we had like you could have study hour, so like that was an option for a class that be like a break period, and then you would have that in your high school schedule, but then during that time you'd be completing your online dual credit class. That's if the school doesn't allow you to directly enroll in the dual enrollment stuff. But a lot of times there are ways to get around that. You just got to figure them out.
The questions. There's one more here. What kind of colleges do you cover to ensure that the credits are valid? Do you consider Ivy colleges, out of state colleges?
What kind of colleges do you cover? Yeah, so we, if I understand the question correctly, so our system is we work based on what you're trying to do. So if you or your child is trying to go to an out-of-state colleges or out-of-state college or an Ivy League college, um, you just let us know and we'll do the research on those specific. Like say that your kid has it down to 5 colleges they want to go to. Just let us know those 5. We'll make the schedule based on those 5 to make sure that it works for all 5 of them the best it possibly can. And yeah, private colleges or out-of-state colleges, also Ivy League colleges, it works for all of those.
And do you also offer the counseling? Because most of the children who are going to Ivies, I've seen a pattern that they hire counselors to help with review their essays and stuff. So is that the service offered by your team as well?
We do, yeah. So our thing is an all-in-one thing, and our package pricing is kind of on a scale. It just depending on like how much involvement you need with us. So like if you want the full package where it's like we do everything I talked about today, plus like we help with the SAT, ACT prep, plus essays. That's just like on the higher end. If you just want what we talked about today without the extra stuff, that's just on the lower end of our package pricing.
Thank you. All right. I think I'm sure this is sort of newer concept. Not everybody's
Right.
aware of, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there is
Yeah,
a conversation.
not many people know about this is even an option. So yeah, it's hard to come up with questions or something you didn't even know was possible.
Yes, and
Yeah.
especially reducing the time by half, 4 year college into half. It's a big thing. I wish I
Yeah.
knew this before when my kids were high school back then.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the parents I talk to say. They're like, "Oh, I wish we knew this about my other kid."
But truly appreciate your time, Andrew. This is definitely a new topic to us. Depending on the interest, we may have follow up sessions with you. We'll see how this goes. And likewise, we would also like to request you to spread a word about our platform itself. We would like to make this a community just fully focused on the high school and middle school transitioning into high school, right? Both for the students and the parents.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, anyone in the audience, anyone that listened today, if you have any questions or you just want to learn some more, we're doing free planning sessions all week next week. So I put the link to book a call in the chat. And if you'd like to talk some more about this, you just have some questions. If you want to actually get enrolled in the program, it's all the same link. You just book a call there, whatever time works for you, and we'll discuss.
Sounds good. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.